It's the intel about the next generation of Bulldogs. This is Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger.
Let's go, I'm a Bulldog.
Welcome into Before the Hedges. Cody Chaffins and Jeff Sentell. It's first time I'm on this side of this music. Kaylee Mansell off at the NFL Combine this week. So what I lack in knowledge and charisma, I make up for, I guess, in quarter zip, Jeff. Here I am, just trying to keep the train on the track.
Look at this. We've got our stellar guy here, the guy that's done all the 5-star graphics and staging for Before the Hedges, and I basically feel like this is your Wally Pipp, Lou Gehrig moment, man. Kaylee, you know Cody's going to slay on this one, so watch it.
She's not going anywhere. It's funny, Kaylee's at the NFL Combine and kind of covering some of these dogs that Jeff was telling you their stories before they were dogs. And I think back to guys like Smile London, Malachi Starks, Tate Ratledge, all three guys. I kind of hosted their commitment ceremony way back in the day. It's hard to believe they're already off at the NFL Combine. But you go back, you talked about the Malachi Starks one a few weeks ago on the beat where we sang happy birthday to his dad, Larry.
Yeah.
Smile London, we're out on a cold morning on the field at Paulding County. Tate Ratledge's dad, Dean, ripping off the power tee off the back of his truck. They grew up big Tennessee fans, so it's kind of cool to see all those guys on that next level, Jeff.
It's funny, if you go through my camera roll on those days, I've got like you doing your air checks and your break-ins during the show because like you were either on the morning show or whatever for a 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock announcement or an 8:44, and you're breaking in with the tees and you're coming back, and like there's Cody, like, we'll be back in 5 minutes, you know, all that stuff.
Malachi Starks, the funny story about him, we were on live TV, and he thanked so many people. We almost did not make it on the air that day because he's so thoughtful, and that's something we know about him now. He almost didn't make it on. We were like, just say Georgia, so we can go to. And he said Georgia, and we tossed back to the anchors, and that was the end of the newscast. So
I mean, the funny part about that is it was his dad's birthday, and it was because he said we sang happy birthday to him, and he didn't even tell mom and dad what he was doing. But mom and dad did not know. I guess that's a trend now. But then at the podium, it was afterward. Malachi was like, he said, "Man, I knew my dad wanted me to go to Georgia. They wanted me to be a dog, so I thought that would be a good birthday present."
Love Tisha and Larry Starks. Good people, and we will miss seeing them around. Got so much going on today on Before the Hedges. Who could be the next dogs? That's what we're talking about. And we will start with a 5-star quarterback. We're going to talk about Jared Curtis. He's got Georgia in his final 2. How much will it take to get him in Athens, and is it worth it? We'll have that conversation. Plus, an incredible story out of Colquitt County, Moultrie, Georgia. Jae Lamar, a running back on Georgia's radar, has an incredible backstory. We're going to tell you about that. We'll also get to hear from Tyriq Green at Buford. And some of the official visitors, they are already lining up to get to Athens in the middle of the summer. We'll tell you who's heading that way. That's all coming up a little bit later on Before the Hedges today. But let's start with Jared Curtis because he made big news this week, dropping that final 2.
Yeah, it wasn't really a kind of a surprise that it was Oregon and Georgia. He was the former Georgia commitment, but the fact that he did it so soon, it almost feels like there's an indebtedness there. What I mean by that is if it's not Oregon, if it's not Georgia, he's going to give them a lot of time to kind of scurry for plan B or whatever. It is definitely a lot more than the number 1 quarterback in the country choosing Ducks or Dogs. And it's almost like you got to get out your slide rulers, your financial calculators. You got to get out cost analysis, return on investment. Cody, I shake my head, my man. I never thought I'd be talking about these things in a recruiting story.
At least publicly.
Yeah, well, yeah. Except the bag man is not included in this. The bag man's all up front. But you look at all this and you sit there and you start going, yes, Jared Curtis, I wrote this week, he could score 2 touchdowns and run for 2 touchdowns in a big SEC game and look like a pro prospect doing it, but it's going to cost a lot. And it's like, is this going to work for Georgia? I think it's fascinating to unfold.
And we kind of got to hear from Georgia because it's all going to have to do with the revenue sharing, right? The NIL world is going to be changing moving forward where the teams can just straight out pay these guys. The question is, there is kind of a salary cap. And how much of that cap do you want to commit to spending on a guy like Jared Curtis, right?
Yeah, this kind of feels like I'm in maybe the Terry College and economics class or something like that.
I'm a fish out of water there.
Yeah, I wasn't in that either. I was in the J school. But you start out when you've got a $20.5 million pie. That was the proposed House settlement. That's what Josh Brooks said yesterday at the winter meeting that the Dogs would abide by. And then automatically you're lopping off $2.5 million because those monies are earmarked for new scholarships that weren't around in the previous model. Think about more baseball scholarships, more softball, more track, more equestrian, things like that. And then you go down to another number, which is most SEC schools are going to spend 70 to 75% of that remaining $18 million on football. Now, we know schools like Alabama, LSU will probably spend 80. Texas A&M will find a way to spend 88% of their money, jokingly there. But then from that, you got to make sure that football gets 75%, and then the remaining of that goes to basketball and other schools and stuff like that. So the fascinating part of this for me, Cody, is the number for Jared Curtis. I feel it's going to be somewhere between $2 and $3 million per season. On3 has his NIL evaluation at $3.1 million. So you start doing the math, and sorry folks, the math is mathing here. But if you're paying your quarterback upwards of $2.5 million out of your entire pie of 13.5, that's a little upside down.
Yeah, and you said, and not your quarterback, your backup quarterback probably if he comes in and as freshman, if he's not starting. And so you talk about if you got him on a discount, say $2 million, right? That's a discount. But of that 13, that's like 14%. So you start looking at like, all right, is this how teams are built? Like, who does this? The NFL has a salary cap. They have to decide. You look at the guys in the NFL who are getting paid at what that kind of percentage, and you do get guys up there in the 25%, but that's your guys like, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, guarantee they've earned it, proven starters. Even 14%, a guy like Baker Mayfield is making for his team. So it's really tough to have a backup making starting NFL quarterback percentages of the salary cap.
Yeah, Cody, I tried to wrap my brain around it, and it was like, what does Kirby always say? He looks to the NFL to figure out how they do it. Professionals, businessmen, grown man league, and like, what's the efficient way they do a lot of things? Well, when you look at a lot of these NFL teams, they're only earmarking 16, 17, 18%. I think some of those bigger numbers you referenced, the Josh Allen, the Justin Herbert, were in a big bonus year where they started the first or second year of their tiers, where the signing bonus all went towards 1 year and you can spread it out. But by and large, that's what you want. But Cody, it's getting to a model where this is how I try to explain it to Dawg fans, is like, if Georgia wins the Jared Curtis sweepstakes, even if, say Georgia gets it for 1.5 or 2 million, that's still a lot of money that Kirby Smart in Georgia, I believe, has never paid an incoming high school recruit, much less one on the offensive side. So that could really change the way Georgia goes about building its team, and it's worked tremendously well for the last 5 years. Now, let's say Georgia backs off the table and it's like, too rich for my blood. Well, then that goes to show you that Georgia is trying also to abide by some economics in terms of you can't give that one guy 22% of your roster salary cap when he might not play for a year and a half. So it's very big boy decisions are about to be made.
And Kirby Smart, to me, has always come off on the conservative side of things. So it would be kind of out of the norm, I would think, if Kirby is going to pay a freshman incoming quarterback 14% of his budget.
Yeah, the other thing you sit there and you look at, you remember those, they've been for everywhere, Cody, where like you have $15 or you have $25.
Yeah, we did it on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, and you figure out like, who are you going to pay? If this guy's getting this and this guy's getting that, and you start going, well, first of all, you're probably 22 starters should make the most money. And then maybe the 15 top backups should make the most money. And then after that, you got to figure out how to pay 20 to 25 high school recruits. In the middle there's going to be about 30 guys that are probably going to be making minimum wage, or at least maybe just the scholarship, or maybe $5,000 a month or something like that. So it gets really interesting to see how these teams are going to be built going forward. And again, I kind of just say, my job is to report the news, my job is to report what's happening, but Georgia might lose the Oregon sweepstakes simply because it might be too rich for their blood, but it also might mean Kirby Smart is trying to play to win the way he always has.
Yeah, you look at Kirby Smart, the teams that were, Stetson Bennett wasn't a highly paid, highly thought of prospect anyway, but if you have a quarterback who's a little less, you can spend a little on the defensive side, which to me, again, Kirby Smart, if he wants to put his money somewhere, defense is the place.
Yeah, there's one thing we got to make sure we kind of try to cover this issue as quickly as we can, but as comprehensively as we can. There still will be true NIL going forward.
Okay.
But those players won't be paid directly by the team, but it's going to be the NIL that makes sense, like the starting quarterback maybe gets the fast food chicken, maybe gets the luxury men's apparel. I'm trying to speak really Brandon Adams here and not give away any plugs. No free plugs, but the stuff that works, and it's still, because it's going to have to go through a clearinghouse, like the NIL collective type stuff, will only work after it's going through an arbitrary kind of an oversight panel. And you can't have Georgia's quarterback getting paid more for a car dealership ad than perhaps a Ronald Acuna or perhaps the Matt Ryan or the Michael Penix now of the Atlanta Falcons. It's got to be more fair market value. So that might only add like 50 grand to 100 grand to the ledger in order to make it all work.
All right, so Jared Curtis, going back, so when we first learned about him, he was the mom with the earrings, right? And his mom really loves Georgia.
Yeah.
Is it just going to come down to dollars and cents for Jared Curtis to be in Athens? Is that part of the reason he backed off in the first place, was to say, hey, this is actually going to be a big money kind of thing?
Well, agents are involved, and they've been involved with a lot of these young players forever now because they get trading card deals when they're like juniors in high school, if they're in an NIL state. Now, listen, Jared's a phenomenal player. He's a great kid. I believe mom and lots of members of his family want him at Georgia. His best relationships are probably at Georgia. He's going to take 2 visits in March back to back, which is kind of going to be proving ground for me because he's going to have a direct type taste test. He's going to see Oregon first in March, then he's going to see Georgia. And then it's going to be, okay, what are we doing here? Is it Georgia? Is it Oregon? What do the numbers look like? I'm sure terms will probably be discussed because right now he also has visits set up for June for both schools and officials. And normally that's when Georgia talks NIL, is they talk during the official visit. I think the timetable is going to get sped up here a lot because Georgia, for example, and I know Oregon's the same way, they can't lose out on their number one targeted quarterback in June and then have to scurry to replace the guy because that won't work because they'll be so far behind the 8 ball.
So that'll be good to know. Information coming up, and those visits are coming in March for Jared Curtis to be on campus, maybe during spring practice, so they can write those numbers and slide them across the table. This is the college football world that we are living in. Got so much more to get to. We got still some great stories of college football, and that's something that won't change. We're going to tell you about one of those with Jae Lamar in just a minute, but before we do, let's do an NIL deal of our own and tell you about Kroger and Kroger Boost and the great things that Kroger is doing. Sign up now for Kroger Boost. You can sign up and just get a free kind of taste test of it for 30 days. That's the way to go. You can get the free delivery right to your door. It's what we do at the Chaffins household. We got those blue bags showing up on our door. You just have to get on the app, and you don't have to go fight the crowds in the store. You can just order it, have it come right to your house. And when you do that, you're also getting double the fuel points when you do that as well. So you're saving at the pump. There's no better feeling than pulling up to a Kroger fuel pump when you know you got $1 off coming on per gallon of gas. You can save up to $1,000 a year using those fuel points. So hop on to do it. Go to Kroger.com/boost. You can sign up today. Again, if you just want to try it free for 30 days, you're welcome to do that. But go Kroger.com/boost. Happy to have Kroger be a part of the story as well. All right, as we move on, going to move away from talking dollars and cents to just a great story, and it comes out of Moultrie, Georgia, Colquitt County, where they've got the 4-star running back, Jae Lamar, who is on Georgia's radar. He'll be coming to town, but he's got a great backstory, right, Jeff?
Yeah, it's one of those where I kind of built the show this way, Cody, because we had to sound like we're in an economics class and we had to sound like dollars and cents. And now this one is just pure gold. It's one of those stories that, you know, I'm in this business to tell stories like this. You've got Jae Lamar. First of all, guys, phenomenal story. He's six feet tall, 205 pounds. He was clocked at 22.9 miles on the GPS just this week down in Moultrie. He can do a front squat of 335 pounds, an ideal RBU type tailback. Got offers from everyone in the country now, Cody, but here's the plot twist coming. The plot twist is didn't play freshman year, didn't play sophomore year, played his junior year and played pretty well, and that's why he's got all this attention. He will choose from anywhere in the country, and the story here is just so very good.
All right, so let's hear our first little bit from Jae Lamar on what makes his story so special.
How would you describe your story? Like when someone says, hey man, I hadn't heard of you until your junior year, what would be the reason why?
Man, coming up, I was a trouble child. I honestly thank God for what he has done for me in the past few years, you know, just because the simple fact of I was a trouble child. Then if I was able to play football and keep doing what I had to do on the football field and be a trouble child, I would not be in the position I am today. I feel like God made no mistakes about what he does, you know. And he had my life planned out great, you know. And just for me man, I've been shot and all, man. I mean, shot in the leg.
Shot in the arm, you said, or shot in the
Shot in the leg, like.
Wow, that's the bullet hole right there?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I mean, I done did a little bit of everything, and I really just thank God for keeping me here, blessing me, allowing me to play the sport that I love. I've been striving to play the sport. I told my mom when we was in the hospital the day that I did get shot. Now, if I was to ever get another chance at football.
How old were you, Ray?
I was like 15.
Uh-huh.
Going into, that was actually my freshman year. I supposed to came back to football my 10th grade year. I got to school around like region play, but GSHS didn't qualify me.
So you were shot from the leg going into your freshman year.
Yes, sir.
Was it just wrong place, wrong time, or was it?
Wrong place, wrong time.
What was the lowest part? You know, everybody has valleys where you're just like, man, I got to get up out of here. I got to change my life. What was that point for you?
I mean, just showing people around me, you know, not just necessarily failing in life, but failing at what they wanted to do in life, you know. And I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted to be someone different and make a huge impact on my life, make a huge impact on my family, you know.
Just incredible. I mean, it gets really heavy really fast with Jae Lamar, and it's, you know, you say he didn't play. When you said that, you're like, oh, he didn't play as a freshman. I'm like, oh, it's Colquitt County, it's stuff. No, he didn't play for good reason. I mean, he got shot.
Well, so it was really, and listen, he was a troubled child. What I mean by that is in the school hallways. He was fighting, he was kind of messing up, he wasn't, you know, he was just a very angry young man. And so he was never, you know, Cody, we got to remember, you may be a future D1 talent, but it's still a right to be able to play high school football. And you got to go to class. You've got to not be disruptive in class. You can't be fighting in the hallways because then you can't play on Friday. And for him, he was actually, Cody, sent to the alternative school in Moultrie. It's called the Achievement Center. And he spent, I believe, March of 2023 to October of 2023 in the AC. That's what it's called when you're just not acting right. You're disrupted to the other students. And meanwhile, the coaches at Colquitt County were like, this kid could be one of the best players in Georgia if we can just get him to do right. And at a really telling moment, he's in the hospital with his mom. Like the things that it's just amazing about this story. And he had this one soundbite in there where he's like, God makes no mistakes. He's had a great plan for my life. And I've also been shot. That's like one word. That's like one train of thought. He points out like the gash and the wound on his leg after a football camp. And I'm just like, goodness, man. And then like how he talks about where he's going and where he's come from. It's just really an amazing story.
Yeah, so he has that low point, and he finally does get on the football field, and now the world is interested in him. You asked him about starting to get those offers rolling in.
Jay, if you look at your story and you think about when the Georgia offer comes, do you think about that kid that was in the hospital talking to his mom about, I'm never going to mess this up again? Do you feel those moments when the good things happen to you now?
Yes, sir, I do. I feel it. I mean, I feel it right now. I feel it each and every day. I thank God every day. I thank God. I pray every night. You know, I just thank God for doing what he has done.
Yeah, and obviously, his spirituality has come along with it. And I can only imagine if you're in that situation how it would. But boy, it kind of checks you, right? Like you see what's important in life and has kept him on track since that point.
So they down in Colquitt County, it's big time South Georgia football. They actually have laser systems that time their 40s. And he ran, I believe last week, he ran a pair of 4.46s on the laser. And that's at 205 pounds. You see some of these clips, the body control, the way he kind of contorts himself. It's amazing. Cody, his first series of games back, first 6 games of his junior year, he went almost 2 calendar years without playing in a football game. He has 8 touchdowns, and that includes like Lee County, includes Lowndes, includes Tiff County. Like there was one game his freshman year where he was allowed, his coach basically said, He acted right that week. He didn't get in trouble. So he got to play a freshman team game against Tift County. He scored 3 touchdowns in that one freshman team game against Tift County. And, like, so there's the Jae Lamar side, but it's also the side of this story, Cody, where, like, he's got to be sheltered, or he's got to have people that keep giving him chances. And, one of those things in athletics is like, yeah, when young people mess up, everybody's like, strike 1, strike 2, get them out of there. But, like, with a lot of these young people, like, if they have the hope at a future, you've got to enable them, put them on crutches, and make sure if they have a chance to change their lives, like, the young man doesn't get any better taken away from football and the one thing that's positive in his life. And I think what Colquitt County coach Sean Calhoun had to say about this was incredible, because that's the coaching staff side of the story. And we've got a bite from Coach Calhoun right here.
Have you had that hallmark moment yet where he says, like, thanks, Coach, for not giving up on me and, giving me all these chances? Have you had that moment yet, that recognition moment yet?
100%.
He has. What was it like the first time you saw that?
Brings tears to your eyes.
Wow.
And it's just because it's, people, like, if people don't see those conversations, right? And that was me in my office. And, when he gets his first one and he can't believe it, and he stands up and he just, like, the joy, right? Like, just the pure joy that you just see in a young man's face. But like me and you being an adult, like, we know he still truly doesn't understand, like, what just happened. But he slowly is now. And, and even the mom and his uncle, and his grandma told me the exact same thing, that there's a lot of people that would not have stuck with him like we did. Like, and that's how we are with all of them. But then especially the ones that are like him. Right, wrong, or indifferent, God didn't make every kid like Jae Lamar. So we got to try to make him see what he can use to better his future, better his family, better his future, whether that's educationally, financially, all the above. It's special. It's unbelievable.
That's why you love high school football coaches. This is why the world needs high school football, needs high school football coaches, because you need another man in your life who can make sure you're not screwing up your chance.
I mean, that's what you want. Like, there's sometimes, most weeks, they spend more time with these young men than their actual mothers and fathers do. Yeah. And they've kind of got the reins on a lot of their future and a lot of their really amazing parts of their life. And, the thing that you just keep coming back to is the rankings have been slow to catch up with him. Like, at one point he was the number 24 back, the number 20, I think some of the services have now pushed him to the number 8 back in the country, but he's actually a lot better than that. And, like, we've got another piece of sound here from Coach Calhoun. How good is this kid? Like, why are we making this great story, something like that? Well, listen to yourself. This is one of the players to watch in the 2026 class.
No, I have not had a story like his, like, from where he was to where he is now. And, and I hope, my dream, my weird mind is that I hope me and you are talking again in 3 to 5 years, because, it's like before the draft. And, and we're talking about this. And now, because that's the next step. But no, I have not had a story like it. I've had some, but nothing on his national level. I mean, this is no joke. I bet I've had 3 to 5 different universities say that he's their number 1 on the board. They have him the highest ranked running back in his class, regardless of all these other publications. And I'm like, that's unreal, Jeff.
So here's the question. Now the secret's out, right? Like, people know about him. He's finally playing football. He's running these laser times. Can Georgia get him?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The first time I talked to Jae Lamar, Cody, I'll never forget. I was at the Marietta High School practice field because I was going to go see A.J. Crua, who was about to flip from North Carolina to Georgia, the great linebacker signee in the 2025 class. And Jay calls me, and I was going to do an interview, but didn't want to talk to him for like a day or so. And he literally and it was literally, Cody, like someone had given him sodium pentothal. That's true serum for people
that dropping some chemistry.
Yeah, people that didn't watch 80s spy movies like I did or 90s spy movies growing up. That's where it's true serum. And you've got to tell the truth. And he literally is like, listen, man, I grew up a dog. I told my mom I was going to be a dog growing up. I wear number 34. I know how special that is. Like, my dream school is being a Georgia Bulldog. And now, like, when he goes on these interviews and he's going to visit Clemson, he's going to visit Ohio State, he's going to visit probably Auburn, he tries to make it a little more interesting. But consistently, I talked to him in last October. I talked to him after the Georgia-Tennessee game in November, Cody. He said he's never been anywhere quite like that game. We all know how special it was in Sanford that night. You listen to him now, he says things like, I got the Georgia in my bones. He's going to go through his process, but if we had our dogometer rolling right now.
Okay, where are we going?
that thing might be the mercury on the temperature. Yeah, it might be Cody barking.
All right, that's good to hear. So Jae Lamar is one of those stories we're going to continue to follow as it gets closer. And I can't wait I want to go meet him now just because hearing his story, and I'm sure we'll have so much more on it as this recruitment continues and the world now goes after Jae Lamar. All right, now we're going to move on. We got another good question for you, Jeff. How do you make a tissue dance?
I don't know, man. You got to get some boogie on it,
You got to put a little boogie in it. How do you make Before the Hedges dance? You talk a little boogie, and that's what we're going to do now as we talk Tyriq Ty Boogie Green, right?
That's right.
Out of Buford High School. You got to catch up with him this week. Give us a little quick backstory, the quick bio on Ty Boogie.
Well, listen, you want a scouting report from the coach? Coach Appling at Buford High School said, got a little bit of KJ Bolden, got a little bit of Caleb Downs, got a little bit of Justice Haynes. He plays both ways on both sides of the ball. And he's like, listen, I know how good those players were, but I think Ty Boogie Green is that good. And you guys, I want you to see for yourself. Is it Boogie or Ty Boogie, or tell me who all uses the nickname, and like where did it come from?
I got my nickname when I was 6. My dad gave it to me. So he was just saying, like, cause I played quarterback when I first started football, so like I just like do a lot of running, and he'd be like, the field's like a dance floor, so that's where he just got Boogie from. And then they just cut Tyriq short to Ty, and they added Ty Boogie.
So the common term of it now is not Boogie, it's Ty Boogie, right? Mm-hmm. You were a quarterback back then? What did you play?
I played quarterback.
So you didn't like have touchdown dances afterward or anything like that when you scored, right? Man, what's your why? Why do you play this great game?
My why? Just for like my family and stuff, help my mom get in a better spot, my dad, and I got 2 brothers, helps them make sure they good. And that's really like my why, make sure my family good.
Take care of family, huh?
Yeah.
Is it going to be tougher for you to figure out the school or to figure out where you want to play in college? What position you want to play in college?
I'll probably say the school.
It will?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't know, I just like defense a lot, just being able to fly around.
So you are a defensive guy. I look at the film, and I know they use you everywhere, but it feels like you got a little bit more juice on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. Why is that? Is that your mentality? Like, what's your favorite part of playing defense?
Just being able to fly around. Then on defense, it's just like different, just like being out there with your brothers, going to hit something, going to make a play for them, and just stuff like that.
What do college coaches say they can use you? What's the plan when they talk about it?
Really just all around, as long as I'm on the field. As long as I'm at their school, really just like as long as I'm on the field, as long as they can use me as punt return, kick return, put me at running back, at safety, nickel, corner, anything they need me to do.
What's the strategy like with Georgia?
I'm getting recruited by defense, but if they need me on offense, I'll be there.
What positions have you played in high school on both sides of the ball?
I played mostly like everything in secondary. I played running back, played receiver, and I went to quarterback before too.
Wildcat?
Yeah.
Kick return, punt return, anything like that?
Return, punt return, all that.
What on defense? You've played free, strong, nickel, corner, all that?
Linebacker too.
Linebacker too, huh?
Yeah.
Tell me about the best play on your highlight tape.
The best play?
Uh-huh.
I'd probably say the game when I first came back, I had a 107-yard pick six.
How tired do you have for 107 yards?
Super tired after that one.
Super tired? Tyriq, for you, what are you looking for in the right college fit?
Just like relationship, because like I'm a real like good relationship guy. Like I got to be comfortable wherever I'm at. So like if they could be like family to me, then that'd be like a great spot for me. And then just being like developed and like getting help going to the next level to the NFL.
Have you said any OVs yet?
No, not yet.
Do you know any schools that will get an OV?
I'm playing Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, Miami, and USC.
It's a good group.
And probably Florida State. I was just like, whatever, like the relationship going. That'd be like them, like the 6 get one.
Tyriq, how do you feel about Georgia? Obviously, that's the in-state school. It seems to me like the coaches really want you. How do you feel about the Dawgs right now?
I feel good about the Dawgs. Our relationship is good. Our relationship great. I talk to them like almost every week. So like we just keep building that relationship.
Who's your main recruiter?
Coach Prather, and then I talk to Coach T-Rob a lot too.
Both of those guys? You talk to Kirby much. What does Kirby say about your game?
Kirby loved my game a lot. Some people they say I'm a running back, but he always told me that I'm a DB.
Of course, that's what Kirby would say, being a former DB.
Yeah, they like one of my leaders right now because just like our relationship, like I'm comfortable around them. They like family.
How does KJ being there help?
It helped a lot. Just like being able to like talk to him, learn like how he went into college, like how he learned and stuff like that. Like him being on the field early. So yeah, that because I actually like grew up with KJ, so like our relationship good there. So I talk to him a lot.
Does Georgia see you primarily as a nickel, a star to play the star, or they see you as a free safety or a strong safety?
Like free safety or strong safety, but whatever they need me at, I'll play it.
Now you said one of your leaders, so with Georgia would be with another school, like, or who are your top schools right now?
My top schools, I dropped my top 8 recently. I have Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, Tennessee, Miami, Florida, and yeah, them like my top schools that I dropped.
Which one of those schools do you think you have the best relationships with right now?
I'll probably say Georgia.
Why is that?
Tennessee.
Georgia and Tennessee? Why? Why do those stand out?
We talk a lot, so like our relationship get better over time.
Good to hear. I watched the tape, Jeff. What sticks out to me, he feels like in Pee Wee football, or sometimes you see it in Class A, like he's just the best athlete on the field. He's going to make all the plays. That's just because he's the best player. But he's doing that at Buford in the state's highest classification. He looks head and shoulders the best player on the field. It's blowing my mind because that's what you expect on like a Pee Wee field, that he's just older than everybody.
Yeah, you see a little bit of that Ty Boogie right there. You saw that 107-yard pick six. And let me drop some knowledge right now. Cody, here's what I think's happening. I've been like listening to my ear close to the ground. You remember how we talked about that salary cap and like how teams are going to have to get thrifty with their roster slots? Look at Georgia on the slide. They've done this with like Caden Prothro, who can play tight end or wide receiver. They've talked to Ryan Mosley about this, how he could be receiver full-time but go play safety on like nickel and dime, third down situations, long yardage situations. Here's another guy, Tyriq Green, that could be maybe his freshman year could be a fourth team, fifth team tailback, but also could be your second or third team safety, could be in the depth chart at punt return, kick return, special teams. Georgia is trying to stretch that roster out. Like if you're going to pay these kids, maybe have him do multiple roles and stretch your dollars that you're going to have to pay these kids, where it helps your roster, your depth chart, have that special talent up and down the thing. And I think Tyriq's a special talent. Like I didn't mind printing a lot of Coach Appling's thoughts about a little bit of Caleb Downs, reminds intelligence of KJ Bolden. Right. Think about this for a second.
I mean, you normally don't want to put that on a kid, right?
But Appling knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And Appling's like, I've seen all these players. He's got a little bit of those guys, and he does. He has a little bit of Justice Haynes in the run game. Cody, he runs like a 10.6, 10.7 in the 100 meters. He's a phenomenal athlete. And think about how smart you've got to be. It's got to be like Cody Chaffins over here that can do On the Beat with Mike Griffith, and then he can do like draft videos, and then he can come and seamlessly perform on Before the Hedges. He's a man of many trades. He's a slash guy.
But that he'll be paid a little more handsomely than I would. But I do love that because you talk about, Connor Riley has been beating the drum. What's got to change in this new era? And Georgia's got to get more out of their freshman class. How do you do that? I think cross-training these guys and having them be able to play in multiple positions, because it's nothing new that Georgia is getting guys that could play both sides of the ball, but it's new that Georgia's maybe opening their mind up more to just approaching it that way, because you got to use them where you can use them, especially when you're maybe not getting as many high-paid guys as you can get.
Yeah, or if you got to throw a big number to get a guy, then you're like, hey, he can help me here, he can help me here, and he can help me here. And now I feel better about it. So we don't need to get another safety in this class or another running back in this class because that guy can do both.
Yeah, so good to know. Even if he's behind a KJ Bolden for a year, he can help out in other places, and really interesting stuff right there. All right, so great conversation with Ty Boogie.
Boogie.
We'll see if Athens can become Boogie Wonderland. I can see the signs now, right? You can see them all in the stands as well. All right, going to take another quick break just to say thank you so much to Daytona Beach for being a part of the show. Love having Daytona Beach be a part of Before the Hedges every week. You think about Daytona Beach, you think about sitting out there in the sand, maybe driving on the sand, which you can do at Daytona Beach, but it's so much more than just those 23 miles of Atlantic shorelining. It's sitting on the beach. You can get on the pier, go fishing, go deep sea fishing. You can do some kayaking, play some golf. Of course, it's the home to the LPGA, home to Daytona International Speedway, also home to Daytona International Airport. You can fly down there, don't have to make the drive, or you can make that short drive from the Atlanta area down to Daytona Beach. If you are planning to get down there this summer, you want to get a fall getaway, get on DaytonaBeach.com/hotel deals, and you can find the best prices to get you down to Daytona Beach. You will be having fun in the sun in no time. To do it, go to DaytonaBeach.com/hotel deals. All right, next thing we're going to talk about on Before the Hedges, I kind of like, because I'm a planner, and I like to know where I'm going to be and who's going to be where beforehand. This is kind of to the extreme that Georgia has all of their official visitors really planned out for the month of June.
Yeah, you were watching that Daytona Beach ad there, and it kind of felt like June already in February, because Cody, I've never seen the Dawgs and the players themselves jockeying to get those prime OV dates. And we started a series last week where we looked at that first weekend in June, which was spillover from May the 30th. And now the second week of June has got some Dawgs, Cody, and they're already starting to fill up.
All right, let's take a look at our first page of the official visitors coming for June. And there's a big old name, because it's a big old guy right at the top, Jackson Cantwell, who we'd almost thought maybe it might not happen, but he's coming to campus in June. I like to hear that.
Yeah, so he dropped his, he had his top 6 for a while, but he dropped his official visits, Cody. And I mean, this is kind of the theme with every recruiting show we do is Miami's in there, Michigan's in there, Ohio State is in there, Missouri is in there. These are a lot of schools that are not shy to big purchases and NIL dollars right there. That's the #1 tackle in the country. Some services has him as the #1 overall prospect. Guy down here, Jarrah Edwards out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. That's St. Francis Academy, powerhouse out of Baltimore. He's taking him. He's a 5-star safety for some areas. He's the guy that made us all feel real old, Cody, earlier this year when he told me that it's great to meet the legend Kirby Smart. Like, I don't know if you're under 50, you can be a legend, but maybe 2 back-to-back natties will do that.
All right, let's see page 2 of the official visitors, see what names kind of pop out there. Is Ty Boogie, Tyriq Green at the top. He's going to be on campus June 6th through June 8th. Like to hear that. Kenneth Goodwin out of Harbor City, California, will be coming across. And then another Buford teammate, Graham Houston, who will be coming as well.
Yeah, no relation to Colton Houston. I get that a lot from readers and people on social media. Ty Boogie is probably, this is one of those I probably should have put an asterisk to it, because he tells me he's taking an official to Georgia. The most likely weekend, kind of been back and forth a little bit, but that's the weekend 2 of his other Buford High teammates would be there. Pretty logical at this point. You got Xavion Griffin-Haynes, a 6'6" edge outside of Raleigh, and Kenneth Goodwin. I have a little bit of Terry Godwin in my head right there, but another California potential dog right there in the class, another linebacker.
All right, go next page. Let's see who else is coming June 6th through June 8th. We've given you some of those May dates earlier on. Savion Hyder stands out to me on this page, a 5-star running back who, again, it's going to be a battle to get, but he stands out there. Tell us about some of these other names on here, Jeff.
Yeah, so Hyder, it really feels like Michigan or Georgia. If this was an old school recruitment from back in 2015, I might say Georgia has the edge, but it seems like Michigan might be their big ticket recruit for this cycle. They need a running back. It might be Mr. Hyder there out of Virginia. Matt Ludwig, interesting guy here. He's out of Montana.
Yeah.
We don't really talk, folks, this might be the first player from Montana we've ever talked about on Before the Hedges, but Matt Ludwig is another strapping 6'4" Captain America looking type guy out of the heartbeat of America right there. Also, Caden Harris and Chauncey Kennan, very highly rated DBs Georgia likes, especially corners. They're long, they're fast, they're over 6 feet tall, and that's Georgia's type.
All right, let's see the next page of our visitors coming in. You talked about the guy from Montana. Like, Georgia needs another tight end recruit, but if it's a good tight end, they are bringing him on campus and talking to him. Ogboko, who you've talked about a lot, whose brother is on this Georgia defensive line, Tamarian Watkins out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, and Bryce Perry Wright, the other Buford Wolf, who will be in town June 6th through June 8th in Athens.
Yeah, interesting list here. Tamarian Watkins is rated by the industry as a safety. Georgia and Coach Shue likes him as a linebacker. You've got the legacy there in Ogboko. The evals of him have kind of strained a little bit. There's not a lot of evaluation right now of people that have seen Ogboko that think, this is a true left tackle, might be a right tackle, might be an interior offensive lineman. His first weekend, he's going to go see Clemson. His next weekend, he's going to see Georgia. I think those will be 2 big visits for him. And also, you got a young man out of Northwest Georgia, again, a wide receiver. No rankings just yet. Brady Marchese out of Cartersville, Georgia, also expected to OV that weekend as well.
All right, let's keep going on the list, and we'll see one more of those official visitors. This will wrap it up. Dre Quinn out of Norcross, Jared Smith, Stockbridge, a couple in-state guys, 4 stars from the state of Georgia.
Dre Quinn is at Greater Atlanta Christian, one of those very athletic edge types. Well coached there by Coach Hardy there at GAC. And Jared Smith, he's called the Grizzly. His uncle Tyron Smith has played 13 years in the NFL, made 8 Pro Bowls. Georgia sees him as an interior offensive lineman, 6'6", about 330 pounds right now. That's a name to watch in this class.
All right, so these visits in June, are these just everybody getting together? Does this have a special thing? I feel like, they've got scavenger hunts and they've got junior days and is there something special about these, or it's just getting everybody on campus at the same time? I'm sure they'll have some kind of special events.
Yeah, it's going to be the photo shoots. That's the only time you can do them right now, and the NCAA kind of forbid it except for the OV weekend. I believe probably 22 tomahawk steaks per day are probably going to be eaten by these young men, not to mention a bunch of chicken wings and a lot of gummy snacks and everything else like that to their heart's content. But what Georgia tries to do is to stack these weekends with a lot of heavy hitters so they can look around and say, oh man, if he's going to go play here, like they've got Hyder there, right?
Yeah.
They've the 5-star #1 running back in the country. He's there with the #1 offensive tackle in the country thinking, man, I can get a lot of yards just hiding behind that guy. And that's kind of the symmetry they want. But Cody, this is like Wild Wild West. Everybody wants these kids. Everybody wants them for big weekends. And that's why everything's getting scheduled so early. Far earlier than this has ever happened before.
You talk about the tomahawk steaks. Jalen Walker, the NFL Combine today, said, what are your favorite food? Tomahawk steaks. Maybe that goes back to a recruiting visit from the University of Georgia as well. We talk about June 6th, so we got kind of 3 dates throughout the summer that these guys are all going to be getting on campus together. And do we expect out of that we'll start getting some more of these commitments?
Yeah, here's the new timeline, Cody. Everybody visits in May and June. Everybody sorts it out, puts it through their sorting hat, and then they make their decisions in July. I would imagine this is the norm because a lot of these numbers are going to change hands. I would imagine Georgia will have probably put to bed maybe 75-80% of its recruiting class by the end of July.
Do we expect these will be kind of, I guess every recruiting visit now probably has a money component to it because that's just part of recruiting nowadays?
Yeah, I believe, the house settlement is going to be in effect this summer, and I believe every recruit, you're doing your whole recruitment a disservice if a young man leaves your university after his official and does not know what his, I almost want to throw up as I say this, what his salary slot would be in the class of 2026.
All right, so we got those official visitors. That kind of moves us on to our question of the week, and that question is, and we want you guys to kind of weigh in the comments and let us know, would you pay any high school recruit $2 million plus per year to sign with your school? Because it's an interesting thing. To me, that's a big piece of your pie. It kind of goes back to like your Christmas list, right? Like you've got your big ticket item and you got your kind of stocking stuff for guys who are going to have to fill out. It's hard for me to say I would pay that much. And what's crazy is because we're still not to the point of contracts, there's no guarantee. You give that guy $2 million to be a backup and he may be gone. by the time he actually needs to play.
Yeah, good thought there. Because one of the things that happened in the last class, and we saw this a little bit with Damon Wilson trying to leave, and Georgia had put in a buyout for his contract when he got a re-up while he was at Georgia, and it was like you would have to pay a buyout because schools today, they don't want you to develop and season for 2 years in Athens and then go shine at like Nebraska or Texas or Texas Tech. So they've kind of put I wouldn't say a poison pill, but like a Trojan horse in the middle of that contract. We're going to give you your money, but you want to go somewhere else, somebody else is going to have to pay us for how we basically seasoned you and trained you and developed you. My answer to this question, Cody, better be a guy like Travis Hunter. Not just special like Travis Hunter, but a guy that can help you in many ways. Like he could be this for you, he could be that for you, he could be dynamic. I think you're going to see a lot of these roster efficiency things happen right here. And, that's just kind of the dollars and cents of it. You had a good analogy there, Cody, about like Christmas time and everything else like that. Think back to the days when we were wee lads, right? Would you rather have Santa giving you the number one thing you wanted on your list or number 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Oh, I kind of wanted an Xbox, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. It always feels good to unwrap that Xbox on Christmas morning. So we'll start to see some of those commitments come out, like Jeff said, at the end of June. Let's get to our weekly staples, though, and take a look at where the class stands at this moment. You got tight end 4-star Lincoln Keys, Vance Spafford still the wide receiver. Those are your 2 offensive commits at this moment. On defense, Seven Cloud, Gentavious Wyman, Zach Fort are your 3 on the defensive side of the ball. Recruiting snapshot, we did see that class ranked nationally drop a little bit this week.
Yeah, some other schools got some guys nailed down. They increased their ranking right there by adding some commitments. Georgia actually drops from 13th to 17th right there. Again, it's still a 5-way tie, 5 different dogs committed right now from 5 different states. Kind of crazy to see. One of those is the junior college commitment who was actually from Powder Springs, but now he's in El Dorado, Kansas. So he kind of counts as an out-of-state guy. Listen, this class still going to get some of those 5-stars in there, but I think the differences between the number. This is a good take I've got right now that putting it together, workshopping it. The differences between the number one school in the country, recruiting class-wise, and the number 10 is going to be a lot thinner than it ever was before.
And a couple of in-state guys we wouldn't mind adding that we featured on the show today, Ty Boogie Green, and of course, Jae Lamar. Let's take a look at some of the targets who Georgia is going after. And we take a look at, there is Tyriq Green, there's Ryan Mosley, another state of Georgia, and Carter Lucky, who we heard from a couple of weeks ago on your 16 through 11 of the top targets.
Yeah, this is a big list. Carter Lucky's the Georgia legacy. Ryan Mosley, Tyriq Green, 2 two-way players. Justice Fitzpatrick, the younger brother of Minka Fitzpatrick, he could play all over in your secondary as well. We've reported on this show and also on the pages of DawgNation.com earlier this month that Brock Harris is interesting. He's in the Church of Latter-day Saints. He's going to go on and conduct his Mormon mission after he graduates this December. So it's going to be about 18 months before he enrolls. And that will legitimately make him, even though he signs in 2026, that will legitimately make him, reporting in late May of 2027, a 2027 recruit. So got a little spacing there.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's move on to our number 10 top target as we get closer and closer to that number 1. 10 through 6 right here. Carson Baker out of Fairburn, Jae Lamar, who we talked about on the show today, Caden Prothro, Kamari Brooks, a lot of state of Georgia guys right there. Think of big dudes in Caden Prothro. And Kamari Brooks, when you talk about potential 2-way players, he plays the little tight end for North Oconee as well.
Yeah, David Pollock calls him the smartest, one of the smartest high school football players, period, he's ever been around right there. You look at all those names, all of those guys, and we've talked about official visits on this show a lot already. All those guys are going to OV to UGA.
All right, top targets. Let's see the finalists to get down to number 1. And bum, 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 there's a change at number 1 this week, Jeff.
Yeah, Miss Kaylee, normally with us, she'd be clutching her pearls right now because maybe her favorite color green she'd be representing there. Tyler Atkinson moves from number 2 to number 1. Jared Curtis is now number 2. You see Mark Bowman. You see Derek Cooper. You see Jackson Cantwell. Cody, if all these numbers, in this world, and this is one of those things I try to do each week, if you guys are just joining it this week or haven't seen us in a couple of weeks, I can run the math really fast right now. That might be $5, $6, $7 million to sign all 5 of these guys. Can't happen. That would be half of your $13.5 million right there. So it's very interesting. Even if Georgia got these guys on a discount, this is the first time I can ever look at a top 5 and say, probably not economically feasible for the Dawgs to sign all these guys.
And not to start a whole new topic late in the show, we don't want to spend a ton of time, but at some point, some of these guys, because the economics are not going to work out, they're going to have to get, if they want to get the money they want to get, they're going to have to spread out to some programs that maybe aren't used to getting a 5-star very much because they're the ones who have the money to spend. And at some point, you got to decide, if I'm a 5-star tight end, is it worth me going to be the best player at some school that maybe the quarterback's not as great? Or do I take a little discount to go somewhere where then we know we trust the program, we trust the quarterback? It's an interesting kind of concept where some of these guys are going to have to start deciding that, right?
Yeah, and if also you just want to play with Dawgs, like the days of having 5 stars in a class are probably done unless a lot of those guys come in at a discount, because you're going to see more teams kind of spreading those big tickets around, because I don't think you can afford a lot of these high-dollar players right here.
Yeah, getting them all together. They're going to be the dream team is a thing of the past, right?
Yeah, probably so.
All right, really good stuff from Jeff this week. I got a great stuff on DawgNation.com. If you want to share that Jae Lamar story with somebody else, Jeff has written it up. It's on DawgNation.com. We'll have that for you as well. Kaylee, luckily, will be back next week from the NFL Combine, but she always asks you, at this point, you got another little drop of Sentell's intel for us as we wrap up the show?
I would just like to acknowledge you stepping in and doing very well. I'd just like to say thanks, Cody, for making sure we have a quality, great show, sitting in the co-host chair there as well. And it's great to have you, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I get to watch the show from the control room so much. I get to finally get asked some of those questions that I have. And I know recruiting is its own world, and the folks who love this show are very passionate about loving this show. So I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of the family this week. But as I said, Kaylee back next week right here on Before the Hedges.
Let's go, I'm a bulldog.